Hey, it's Shane with GotRom.com. This video is a quick fix for what to do if your glutes won't fire. And I'm going to teach you a two-step process to get them to fire using two simple tools. Stay tuned. The first thing to do is test if there is a side-to-side difference in your glute activity, meaning is one glute firing easier or more strongly than the other one. Now, you might have done a lot of glute bridges and glute things, but sometimes it's easy to deceive yourself unless you get a really good test. So here's the test. You take a yoga block and you're going to do glute bridge marches with this in between your feet. So I'll show you from both angles. First, you're going to go like this. You're going to put your hands on your chest, bridge your hips up into the air, and then lift one foot off the ground at a time and try to have your glutes fire to contract and not have your hips swivel too much. From a different angle, the block goes in between your feet. You lay on your back. This is easier because I can kind of stabilize myself if my hands are like this, or even if my hands are like this, I can kind of stabilize myself with my elbows. But if I go like this, then my glutes really have to work hard when I pick my feet up off the ground to not let my pelvis rotate too much. So do a couple marches where you lift your heel just an inch off the ground. I'm gonna lift my heel just an inch, switch sides, just an inch, switch sides, just an inch. And that's going to tell you which glute is not firing very strongly. Once you figure out which glute is not firing very strongly, you're going to do two things. To get your glutes to activate better, we need to release the front and fire up the back. So to release the front, we're going to do a very simple stretch, your basic hip flexor stretch. In this position, and I like to start by putting my hands here, elbows out to the side, and crunching really, really hard, and then dropping my hip down. The target is right here. This is where you should feel it. So you're here, breathing, relaxing, coming in and out of range, or maybe coming forward and back 1 inch or 2. This changes where I feel this stretch. You also could side bend and reach up to the sky. That's an option. So whatever feels good to you, you can put your hand on the ground. Notice my knee is still off the ground. And I'm just breathing and relaxing, wiggling. I even like to bring this hip out to the side a little bit, or side bend in the opposite direction. So play around with this for a minute or two, and then you can put your knee on the ground and come up a little more upright. Again, maintaining this crunch position and then dropping the hip down. If I don't crunch first, then I'll just go and I'll substitute lumbar extension instead of getting true hip extension. So crunch and then sink, and then you can play around with different positions. So this is going to target kind of your psoas iliacus. But then also you need to stretch the rectus femoris or the quads. To do that, one of my favorite, most advanced quad stretches is to use a band. You put it around your foot, around your shoelaces, and then bring it up over your shoulder. To get more of a stretch, you bring more tension on the band, more tension. The closer your heel is to your butt, the more intense this stretch is going to be. And then you put your hand down on the ground, like so. If you need to walk this foot farther forward, that's fine. And then I crunch, and then bring my hip forward. Breathing and relaxing. You probably want to spend about 2 minutes or more on your iliacus and your psoas, and then 2 minutes or more on your rectus femoris, your quads. So spend some time here, breathing and relaxing. When you're done, carefully come out, drop all that, and now you've sort of released the brakes. It's kind of like driving a car. If you're driving a car and you have the handbrake pulled, the car will run, but not very well. So first we release the brakes, and then we have to fire up the glutes, which is what I'm going to show you next. One way to really activate the glutes now that you've released the brakes is to use extra weight. If you always just use body weight glute exercises, your glutes won't get as strong as they could with weight. So what you're gonna do is put on an ankle weight, hook that bad boy up, get it nice and tight. Two versions that you can do of this. One, just on the ground, where you just raise this out to the side. I like to do 10 reps and then a 10-second hold at the bottom, or at the top rather, and then pulse. The extra weight of the ankle weight really magnifies this, but there's one more way of ramping it up even more. If this next exercise doesn't wake your glutes up, nothing will. So here's what it is. You're gonna get a chair or a bench or something in front of you. You've got your ankle weight on. You're gonna come up into a standing position, and you're going to, that same lateral leg raise out to the side and do your 10 reps. And then after your 10 reps, you're gonna pulse at the end range. You also can do many other versions of glute raises like these and things like that. But I really like the combination of releasing the brakes on the front and then firing up the glutes with extra weight, with added load. And the combination, I think, will wake your glutes up if nothing else has worked before. So, give it a shot.
Yeah, be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Yeah, let's just do what we came to do.